Welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving headfirst into a thought experiment that is so bizarre and honestly so incredibly vast that it completely shatters our basic understanding of daily existence. We are going to visualize a scenario that, yes, sounds like pure science fiction, but it actually relies on concepts deeply rooted in theoretical physics and some of the most fundamental questions we have about the universe. We're talking about a dimensional shift. And to be real with you, just trying to wrap our human minds around this concept requires us to throw out almost every single rule we've ever been taught about how reality actually works. So picture this. You wake up one morning, you look out your bedroom window, and you realize reality itself has been completely rewritten while you were asleep. You stumble into the kitchen to pour your morning coffee, but instead of falling neatly into your mug, the liquid just hovers there in this crazy fractal pattern. Or maybe it slides sideways into a direction you didn't even know existed. Talk about a rough start to the day, right? The familiar, comforting rules that govern literally every single second of your life are just gone. The sheer magnitude of this question, what if our entire planet just slipped into another dimension, is absolutely staggering. It fundamentally challenges the biological hardware our brains use to process the world around us. In this explainer, we are going to break down exactly what would happen to us humans, to nature, and to the very laws of physics if our planet suddenly crossed over into the cosmic unknown. And you know what the terrifying part is? It wouldn't be this slow, gradual transition where we have time to hold town halls and figure out how to adapt. No way. Reality itself could completely change in an instant. Everything from how we perceive colors and shapes to how we experience a single minute passing could be violently altered. We might suddenly see wavelengths of light our eyes were never meant to see, or physically feel space folding around us. It's terrifying, sure, but it's also profoundly exciting, and it forces us to question the stability of the very ground beneath our feet. Okay, let's back up for a second and look at what we're actually dealing with. Our biological perception is strictly locked into a three-dimensional framework. We are hardwired to navigate length, width, and depth. It's intuitive, it's cozy, and it's all our brains know how to map. But theoretical physics, especially frameworks like string theory, suggest our universe might actually contain up to 11 dimensions. And just to be clear, a dimension isn't some magical, parallel universe full of wizards or something. It's the fundamental mathematical boundary of existence. Science points to the very real possibility that the reality we interact with every single day is just a tiny, limited slice of a much larger, unimaginably complex cosmic pie. And here is where it gets truly mind-bending. The leap from our measurable, predictable reality into a higher dimensional space is just wow. In our normal world, geometry makes sense. Objects are solid, right? But in a higher dimension, the rules of geometry would be completely unrecognizable to the human visual cortex. Imagine looking at a totally sealed, opaque box, but being able to see its inside, its outside, and every single intersecting angle all at the exact same time. Our brains simply haven't evolved to process that kind of spatial mapping. We literally be staring at objects that mathematically shouldn't exist, trying to make sense of a space that defies everything we've ever known to be true. So how does a whole planet actually pull this off? Well, theoretical physics points to a rapid, completely uncontrollable sequence of events. It would likely kick off with a massive space-time disturbance. We're talking something like a collision between dimensional branes, which would create a vast ripple in the actual fabric of the universe. This immense release of cosmic energy could cause an unknown rift, or a portal, to suddenly tear open and just swallow our entire solar system whole. And this resulting reality shift wouldn't be something we could fight off with missiles or somehow negotiate with. It would be an absolute, overwhelming cosmic event imposing a brand new set of physical laws on our incredibly fragile little planet. Now imagine stepping outside right after this event happens. You look up at the sky you've known your entire life, only to find that comforting blue expanse completely gone. In its place, our environment has radically changed into kaleidoscope patterns of twisting light and shifting colors. You might look out at the horizon and feel this unnerving sense of claustrophobia, like the atmosphere itself has folded inward. Or, on the flip side, you might see an infinite, terrifying expanse with absolutely no vanishing point. The optical illusions would be relentless, simply because the light from our sun would now be bending and refracting through a completely new mathematical framework of space. And it's not just the sky. Instantly, the modern infrastructure we rely on so heavily would become utterly useless. Animals, who have this incredible biological sensitivity to magnetic fields and environmental shifts, they'd react first, likely panicking or migrating in totally erratic, nonsensical patterns. Then all that technology we pride ourselves on, it would fail immediately. Earth's satellites rely on very specific physics to stay up there. Hitting a spatial anomaly would send them dark in a heartbeat. Global communication fails. no GPS to navigate the new terrain, no cell service to text your family, and yeah, absolutely no internet right when you desperately need to Google what to do when you fall into the fourth dimension. We'd be plunged into total isolation. But moving through this space, man, it wouldn't just be a physical challenge. The psychological impact would be devastating. We rely entirely on our senses and our internal mapping, our proprioception, just to feel safe and grounded. If every time you try to walk forward, you somehow move at an angle your brain literally cannot describe, the neurological shock would be profound. Without our usual perceptions to guide us, we'd experience a profound difficulty understanding this new reality. This wouldn't be some fun escape room puzzle to solve. It would manifest as overwhelming confusion and raw primal fear. The human brain's error-checking systems would essentially just crash. Actually, scratch that. The scariest and honestly maybe the most fascinating part of this whole shebang is that the fundamental laws of physics would be completely rewritten. Under our old physics, we enjoy normal, predictable gravity, keeping our feet firmly planted on the ground, and time ticks away constantly in a straight, linear line. But under a new dimensional physics, gravity might pull sideways, or it might randomly fluctuate depending on exactly where you're standing. And time, oh boy. Time dilation could become an everyday reality. A minute spent making breakfast in your kitchen might equate to a whole year passing out in your backyard. We might even perceive time non-linearly, experiencing moments from the past, present, and future converging all at once. We'd literally find ourselves trying to survive in a completely alien landscape, filled with the most bizarre objects imaginable. As the fundamental forces shift, the actual physical terrain of our planet would shift right along with them. Mountains might twist into impossible non-Euclidean shapes. Think massive stone Mobius strips. Oceans might not even rest in basins anymore. They could just float in fragmented, shimmering spheres right above our heads. The entire visual environment would be populated by structures that don't conform to earthly topology whatsoever. It would be breathtakingly beautiful for sure, but incredibly disorienting. Every single step would require us to relearn how to interact with matter itself. When we weigh all of this out, we're basically walking a breathtaking tightrope between existential danger and the ultimate scientific awakening. On one hand, we're looking at the total failure of modern technology and this extreme, debilitating disorientation that could easily collapse society as we know it. But on the other hand, just look at the sheer potential for discovery. We would finally uncover and understand those hidden, complex parts of the universe that our brightest minds have only ever been able to theorize about on chalkboards. Humanity would suddenly be living inside the ultimate, infinite physics laboratory, getting to witness the true, vast nature of the cosmos firsthand. It's a scenario that totally exposes our incredible vulnerability, but also our endless, defining curiosity as a species. We've built our entire civilization on the very comfortable assumption that reality is fixed, predictable, and measurable. But if the universe suddenly decided to rewrite those rules tomorrow, would we actually be able to adapt, survive, and learn? Or would we simply be overwhelmed by the unfathomable vastness of the cosmos? So next time you look up at the night sky, ask yourself, are we truly ready for what lies beyond our simple 3D world? Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer. Keep asking big questions, and I'll see you next time.